Nerd Reactor, roll out.
What's up, Reactorites? It's time to talk about Black Widow, and this movie has been delayed so many times thanks to quarantine, but soon it will finally be available to viewers everywhere, in theaters, Disney Plus premiere. And before we get to this, I would just like to say, please like, please subscribe, click the notification bell on this channel. With that said, let's get right to it. I just want to put a little disclaimer out there. This is my opinion, and I know that I'm in the minority of the reviewers out there that are going to be praising it. The reviewers are saying it's one of the best solo films, one of the best solo MCU films out there. So for me, at least, yeah, Black Widow is kind of a meh movie, an okay movie. Not that great. Story, the villains just completely wasted. But there is some cool parts, like just the characters, like the chemistry between Black Widow and Yelena, and the parts that we do get to see with Red Guardian. And, it's always good to see Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow getting to do her thing. But I think in this movie, she doesn't really get to shine because she's being outshined by Yelena, played by Florence Pugh. And Florence Pugh, she's funny in this one, especially when she's making fun of her sister. So, yeah, Black Widow, this movie is set between the events of Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. And Natasha, she's on the run. The government is after her, especially for the events of Captain America Civil War, because they're trying to round up all the superheroes because of their actions. The Sokovia Accords. You sign that thing, and you make sure that you're gonna follow the rules. And Black Widow, she did not. And so now they're after her, and this gives her a chance to really explore her own story, especially with her past, with the red on her ledger. But we really don't get to explore just a little bit, but not like a lot, like, here's a ledger, here's a lot of red, but it's just part of the red. Florence Pugh, she plays the younger sister, Yelena, and she is an assassin. She's trained just like Black Widow, just like Natasha. And so she's on a mission, and she discovers that, hey, maybe my sister can help, who I haven't seen in a while. And in the movie, they do explain why they haven't been seeing each other since then, especially with Black Widow, who defected from her former life as an assassin to becoming an Avenger. And as they team up, they're going to be dealing with the opposition, like a bunch of widows, and of course Taskmaster. Like the action, like there were parts I enjoy about the action, and there are parts that I didn't like about the action. But I do like the close quarters combat. Like some of the stuff is like very brutal, and we do see a lot of like knife fights, as much as they can push for a PG-13 movie. And Black Widow, she's gonna get thrown around, and she's gonna get punched in the face and all that. But the parts that just kind of rubbed me off the wrong way, it's just that some of the parts just feels a little too cartoony, a little too silly. There's a scene where she's about to fall down a building, and remember those scenes where Captain America falls down from a building, from one platform to another, bam, bam, and then he lands on his shield, and he's just kind of like running again. But you're like, okay, he's a super soldier, so that makes sense. Here, like Natasha, she's a human, but she's trained. But there's a part where it's almost the same thing happens. She's falling down, hitting from platform to platform, and it's like you hear the loud bang, and then she lands on her feet, and then she walks around like not even injured. And I'm like, this is like a cartoon, and she's just coming back up without any like injuries showing that she's hurt. And there are so many scenes that happens like that are very cartoony. Cars flipping around while she's in it. Like, it happened twice. And those parts where the car's flipping, explosions, that would kill a person. Especially when you're shooting something underneath the car and it explodes. And it come off like, not a scratch, and it can still run around and fight. And more scenes similar to that. And I was like, this is almost at the F9 level. If you've seen that movie, where there's a lot of ridiculousness, where this would kill a person, but they survive. So let's talk about the villains. Taskmaster is able to mimic what Taskmaster is watching, like through the videos. You've seen in the trailers, like, oh, this got the Taskmaster, the fighting style of Black Panther, throwing the shield like Captain America, using the bow and arrow like Hawkeye. And at the beginning, it was cool. But then in the third act, I felt like Taskmaster was wasted. The potential was wasted for a really cool villain. So this version of Taskmaster is like the silent version. And in the end, the third act, like the fight scenes, not that much coolness, cool factor. Like I was hoping to see the Black Widow, her sis, the father, kind of teaming up to fight Taskmaster. But what we have is kind of like a reduced fight scene where you're kind of setting up when you first introduce Taskmaster, but when you finally do show off Taskmaster, you put the villain to the side, or you find a way to just nerf the villain. And I'm like, come on, I want to really see a really cool fight scene, and we never really get to see it. And we also have another Dreykov, another villain played by Ray Winston, and I like Ray. I especially like his performance in Beowulf, but here they kind of set him up to be like this big bad at the beginning of the film, but then at the end, he's just not that compelling of a villain. He's just a one-note villain, like, oh, I got this organization I have of just getting all these Black Widows together to help my empire, and that's pretty much it. Like, there's nothing interesting about the character and the story about Black Widow and the past coming. It's just touched upon, and it's not really that interesting or engaging. And when she's trying to save or become a superhero and do the thing that she's supposed to do at the end, they're just, I don't care, just because they haven't set that up properly, because all these things, the lives of these people, like, I don't really get to see their lives, because we're focusing on Black Widow just trying to escape, and then meeting up with her sister and then her father and then her mother. Never really pays off for that, just because we're too focused on other things. So yeah, this movie is not the best MCU film, or not even the best solo MCU film, but it's not the worst one. And it's just the story just never really reaches its full potential, especially with the lackluster villains and the story that doesn't really grab you. And so what we're left with, these awesome talent, especially Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. This is like her solo film, her final outing, and she gets outshined by her sister, by Florence Pugh as Yelena, and it's kind of sad. But yeah, once the movie comes out, let me know what your thoughts are on Black Widow on the comments below, whether you agree with me or whether you disagree with me and think, John, you're wrong, this is like one of the best movies ever, or it's not that bad, I really enjoyed it. Just let me know. This is my opinion, this is what my thoughts are. And with that said, if you like the video, please give it a like, and also subscribe and click the notification bell. With that said, I'm John, and I'll see you guys next time.